Um, Blood is a big thing. Excuse me. They have satanic rituals. There's a book called The Satanic Bible, and it outlines 9 rituals and ceremonies for group performance. Some of the rites presented are inspired by other groups, such as Freemasons, Knights Templar, and Order of the Illuminati. Oh, you're very welcome, Valerie. I'm glad you understood what I said. Yeah. So the satanic rituals. I will repeat that. Some of the rites presented are inspired by other groups such as Freemasons, Knights Templar, and Order of the Illuminati. Uh, is this a surprise to anyone? No, I don't think so. They're all tied together, I think. Um, it's called the Satanic Bible, and the book includes the child baptism ritual used by LaVey at the first public recorded satanic baptism in history for his youngest daughter, Zena. Um, it, it's uh, it's a hidden thing that goes on. I think more goes on than we know. Um, Satanic ritual abuse. They call it SRA. Another was the subject of a panic that originated in the U.S. in the 1980s, spreading throughout the country and to many parts of the world by the late 1990s. Allegations involved physical and sexual abuse of people in the context of occult or satanic rituals. It is its most extreme form. SRA involves a worldwide organization, including the wealthy and powerful of the world elite, in which children are abducted and bred for sacrifices, pornography, and prostitution. So it's not just sacrifices. These are for porn movies, prostitution, to make money. Every aspect of the SRA was controversial, and the source of the allegation and proof, testimonies of alleged the victims, and criminal investigations. The panic affected lawyers, therapists, and social workers handling allegations of child sexual abuse. Um, they brought together all these people. They brought together widely dissimilar groups, including religion, police investigators, child advocates, therapists, and clients in psychotherapy. It it was a movement that really moved. It was crazy, a little crazy back then. Um, the SRA were disseminated through professional, popular, and religious conferences, as well as the attention from talk shows and spreading the moral panic throughout the U.S. and beyond. In some cases, allegations resulted in criminal trials, and after 7 years in court, the McMartin trial resulted in no convictions, um, while other cases resulted in lengthy sentences. So it just goes to show you how things can get blown out of proportion. There weren't the slaughter of thousands, um, and skepticism. That there were slaughter of some, of course, but it wasn't like it really. It's like gossip that really got out of control. So it was a little crazy. Yes, there are groups that do this. So in the U.S. there are satanic cults. There are a few, of course, good old Salem. Um, in a period of only a few months, 200 people had been accused of witchcraft, and 20 had been killed, and one man had been tortured to death. His interrogators piled stones on his chest until he smothered. Um, and it started over girls having fits, none of them over 12. It became a storm of accusations that ended when the governor's wife was accused of witchcraft, and he shut the whole thing down. People confessed to trafficking with the devil and writing their names in the book. Under torture, they named others. That was a crazy, crazy time. And the strange thing about it, nobody believes it now. It's not that no one believed it then. The village of Salem was known to be a nasty place. Its members quarreled with other neighbors, yada, yada. But it was a time of... they scared the people. They really did. They sometimes they accused other people because they stood to gain from them. Whether it be the goats, what they had, or animals on the farm, whatever. So everyone seemed to know it was kind of a fraud, but nobody did anything. So there's a book called Michelle Remembers. It's a cult that Michelle remembered. The book is called Michelle Remembers. It was published in 1980, and it kickstarted the whole new movement. The book was about the recovered memories of Michelle Smith. And aided by her psychiatrist, she mirrored horrific abuse at the hands of an ancient and international cult of Satanists. Among her memories were things like 81-day ceremonies in a public graveyard, where the cult raised the devil, only to see him fought back down by the angels and the Virgin Mary. And the book started a 2-year decade search for child-abusing satanic cults that supposedly populated America. The fear of underground satanic cults was so widespread that it earned the name the Satanic Panic. And, of course, Geraldo Rivera claimed that there were over 1 million satanic cults in the U.S. In South Africa, they actually trained a supernatural crimes unit to deal with the cases. Was it real? Not really. The book gives a good reception. It was first published. But she kind of spoiled the whole thing when, with her and her psychiatrist, divorced their spouses and married each other. So, and then they went on speaking tours. So they kind of disavowed their own thing there. So it was they started like really criticizing them. So there's satanic cults in history. That was one of them. And one of the other ones I have is Our Lady of Endor. It was founded in 1948, an example of most Gnostic Satanism. The founder, Herbert Sloan, claimed to have seen a horned god in the woods as a child, and he later realized this was Satan. And with that in mind, he reread the Bible and saw the serpent not as a tempter, but as someone who showed Eve the true nature of God. The fall of man was a good thing. Okay, it existed, but when you think Satan is a good guy in the service of God, that gets a little extreme there. There's Satan's corporate sponsors. The head of Procter & Gamble. Remember this? They went on television and with a pleased smile announced how happy he was that the United States was so open-minded. Why it was so open-minded, so liberal, that he didn't mind admitting that his company donated a large portion of their profits to a satanic cult. Do you remember this? Oh yeah, there are many different forms of witchcraft. Yes, there is definitely. Usually, but in Salem, they were dancing with the devil at night and all this stuff. That's what got them in trouble. All these things. But no, it doesn't have to deal with the devil. I totally agree with you there. But when he didn't mind admitting that his company donated a large portion of their profits to a satanic cult. What? You know, in fact, Procter and Gamble was so committed to Satanism, they had a horned Satan on their logo. He concluded that sure, people would be mad that he announced this, but there weren't enough Christians in the country anymore to make any difference. He steepled his fingers and said, "Mwahaha," and waded into the audience to pick out a nice, juicy child to sacrifice. Following his lead, the head of Liz Claiborne did the same. So clearly, much of corporate America is part of a satanic cult. That's what was going on. Was it real? That's for you to decide. But there are different facts. Yes and no. In one version of the story, the confession was said to have happened on the Phil Donahue show. The story claimed the appearances back in 1970, which is why no one has a copy. More modern versions of the legend have the confession taking place on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. But who knows? I remember that big controversy over that. No, they don't have copies of it. Why? Oh, think about it. Do you think they really have copies of that out there now? You remember that, Valerie? That was crazy, wasn't it? What do you think? Were they satanic sponsors? Of course there's no copy. They say, oh, there's no copies of that show now. Of course not. If they're that big, they're going to take it off. They're going to have the copies. There's no copies out there, of course not. But I remember that. I had forgotten about that. That was a crazy, crazy time. Another group is the Church of Satan. This is probably the most well-known establishment when it comes to Satanism. It was founded in 1966 by Anton LaVey. And the Church of Satan maintains offices, not dark pits near graveyards. People can buy a basic membership, but need to become active within the satanic community to be considered an active member, or work they up to priest or priestess positions. The Satanic Panic actually gave the church a publicity boost, as members were in demand to come on television and either answer or debunk satanic ritual abuse, the myths. The church itself came out of the panic looking clean. And the FBI said they were not involved in any criminal activity. But was it real? He probably is. He's a spawn of Satan. Valerie, I do believe Donald Trump is Satan. Yeah, it could be talk. I don't know. But I do remember that logo. They were making a big thing out of that with Procter and Gamble. Yeah, I think he's a spawn of Satan. It could well be. Was it real with the Satanic Church? Yes. But it practices the kind of Satanism known as aesthetic Satanism. Deities are projections of the self, not outside influence. There are rituals, but the church is about self-discovery, not shaking hands with the devil. Okay. Interesting. They have a couple other ones. Just interesting. There are some Satanist cults